my new bracelet. It's a good day. I do not have my top on because it's kind of warm. Right, I went downstairs and breakfast. So let's see what this is. Good morning. I couldn't agree more. It is a good morning. Sandwich of some sort. Yeah, their sandwiches are very thick sandwiches. Like 2 inches thick. Okay. Then we have here. Some kind of breakfast drink. I'm not sure how to do it. 2 straws. I'm allergic to pork. I don't think it's pork. I'm just not sure. So I'm gonna eat the egg and the bread on this side. It's not like it will kill me if I eat pork. It's just that my throat gets poofy. This is good. My 3-in-1 coffee. That is good. Now, just don't eat it. That's my mantra. I'm here until 1 p.m. And I check out. I go to Temjui. I read for an hour until I can get into my room. And then I'm going to settle in. In the morning, I'm going to finish. I have a discussion for my business class. I have to add one more, basically, kudos comment to someone's post, and then I have to teach for a while so that I make my quota for my income this month, because my thing goes off on the 10th, and so I want to make sure I reach my maximum I can here, so I can maybe stay at my fancy apartment again. Now, for my budget for this trip, I really didn't spend any extra except on that $20 meal that I wasn't expecting. But everything else has been according to plan. I haven't spent anything on snacks or food or any of that since leaving. I am going to go grocery shopping probably this evening or this afternoon so that I have some food in my fridge and my cupboards, because I don't mean it weird. I was born in the Midwest in the U.S. I was born in Kansas, but my family lived in Nebraska when I was a small child. And I spent time in Colorado, South Dakota, Iowa, growing up. But we have to have food in our cupboards. Now, I realize that according to my friends in Taiwan, it's not really a culture where you cook a lot if you're single. So it's kind of strange, I guess, that I like to cook. But I'm like, I'm not saying I won't eat out, because I think I definitely will. The dumplings, the boba tea, the 70-cent delivery fee. Yeah, I will be eating out. But right now, I just want to know that I have some food on hand, because I like snacks. I like snacks a lot. It's kind of like my roommate. They're like, Anna, we really don't know what you like, except you do tend to like sweet things and also boba tea. Because they were getting ready to do like a dinner when I was leaving, and they're like, don't you want anything in particular? I'm like, no, as long as it's not pork or shellfish or too spicy, I'm good. So I really don't have any particular foods that I'm saying they're going, oh my kitty hand over, except boba tea and certain sweet things that I do like mochi. That's really good. So, and I like 3-in-1 coffee. I will also say I'm a much better humanoid with caffeine than without, because I had 3 days, because I was an idiot before I left, of not drinking my daily coffee, which is like literally 4 of these at least. That was a really bad decision. Now, as for jet lag, I think I kind of nipped that in the bud, because I literally, that was a piece of paper from the package, I think. Okay. But I literally stayed up over 24 hours the day I left. The reason for this was, number one, I was packing up until 20 minutes before the taxi came. I will never do that again. Number two, I was so excited that I really couldn't sleep. So that's kind of the equation that went into everything so far there. But because I didn't sleep for over 24 hours, I slept probably about 6 hours on the plane, at least. And I also slept pretty well. Now, I have to say, like, I went to bed around 1:30 last night, but I don't think it was because of the time difference. I think it's simply because I have a very noisy alley behind me, and there was something going on. I'm not sure if it was some kind of event or something, but it was very noisy. So because of that, it was hard to sleep. But I don't foresee having a major problem with jet lag, simply because I'm kind of recalibrated because of my somewhat stupidity, I think is what you would say. So I guess stupidity is good for certain things, not a lot, but that might be one. The other thing is I'm going to make a quick call to my friends so they know that I've made it. And I'm also calling another of my friends just to give them a ring because I haven't been in touch with them for a while. And then I'm going to go teach like a crazy woman. Just kidding. A very practical person until 1 p.m. I thought about going and exploring a little while I'm here in this area, but I decided against it for 2 reasons. Number one, I don't really want to leave my suitcases in my room because I don't know the quality of the hotel, so to speak. And number two reason I don't know what to go right now is the air quality is really bad today. It's very, very cloudy, which according to my friends from Taiwan means that they've got some smog issues today. So because of that, I really don't want to get that in my lungs. Now, I do have an air purifying face mask, and like when I go out today for my groceries, I will probably be wearing that face mask, even though it might look a little weird, because I do not want to have asthma troubles. Also, before leaving the States, I picked up 2 inhalers. Now, the inhalers I literally got the last day I was there. Now, the reason for that was my insurance changed in December. So my $300 steroid inhaler suddenly became, I don't know, a whopping $10. Okay, this is another thing, the American medical system. I mean, really, switching insurance can make that much of a difference on these kind of inhalers. The other thing is I had kind of put off using the steroid inhaler because I do not like the name steroid. I do not like the fact that I do have to sometimes take things for my breathing issues. But the thing that I'm coming to realize is it is much better to take the steroid inhaler than to sit there for days with a weight on your chest because you cannot breathe properly, which is what I have been doing. So like when I got the steroid inhaler, I decided to try it out the evening before I left just to make sure it worked properly because I didn't want to get to Taiwan and find out my inhaler didn't work. I'm like, oh no, that's not going to happen. So anyway, how do I get this to work? Sorry guys, I'm trying to fix my bracelet at the same time I'm talking. And it's going swimmingly not. Okay. There we are. I've got my bracelet on. think this one might be too much. I don't know why I'm using my British voice. But anyway, okay, so the inhalers. I've taken my allergy medication for today, number one. I also got an inhaler at Walgreens. It's just like a cheap menthol inhaler, which I've taken too. I'm also, after I finish eating and drinking my drinks here, going to take my steroid inhaler. Lastly, but certainly not least, I got 180 days worth of medication before I left. It's prescription-based, which I put off retaking because of the 2 pages of side effects that were listed there. However, I probably will end up taking that medication simply because I'm having trouble breathing a little bit. It's like there's a weight on my chest, and it's not the front part here. Okay, anyway, the weight on my chest is much better when I take the steroid inhaler. Ergo, I am thinking that if I take my other medication, it might just be completely remedied, which would be very helpful in adapting to this new area. So, here, I've got my clock set, just to make sure. And so, I'm going to take my steroid inhaler. I also have my albuterol inhaler, which is in my bag. That's right where I need to grab it if necessary. The steroid inhaler, I believe I can take once to twice a day. I only really need to take it once because it works very, very well. Now, I do not want to be codependent on that forever, but I have to sit there and go, isn't it better to breathe comfortably for taking this for a while and know that you're good? And then if I need to go off it, I'll go off it later. It's not that big of a deal. So that's my day so far with my little tribe and mantras. So anyway, I am someone who has to kind of look at all the possible things that can go wrong and sit there and go, is this worth the risk? Is this worth the chance I'm taking? And I think it's kind of like when I got on the plane here this December 2nd, which is actually my half birthday. I really don't celebrate my full birthdays. I celebrate my half birthdays because I find it easier due to some things that happened when I was a kid growing up on my birthdays, or right before my birthdays. It was like, there was some nasty stuff. So anyway, I usually celebrate my half birthday. So my half birthday, I flew across the ocean. It's quite impressive. My first first flight actually. And the thing I was thinking as I was getting on that plane was I was like, honestly, getting on the plane was something that I was really kind of concerned about. I'm like, Anna, you could die in a bloody fireball if this does not work out well, or there's a plane malfunction. I'm like, but you're supposed to be there, and this is the way you're going because you do not want to take forever on a boat, because cruise ships do not really sound fun to me at all. I don't mean it bad to those who love cruises. Happy for you, just not my thing. So I'm getting on the plane, and I'm sitting there, and I put my seatbelt on, and no one really knows that I'm internal panicking, because honestly, the only person who could ever really tell that was my sister, and my roommate. She's been quite a while with me the last 2 months, but they're like, you don't really panic exteriorly, but we can tell that internally you're going, if people know me well. So I was sitting there in the plane seat, really kind of concerned. And then I realized, as I was getting ready for takeoff, I'm like, this is like when I was on the swing set with my dad at 4, which is one of my good memories with my father, because he was with me from the time I was 2 till the time I was 4 to 5 as my main caregiver. The thing is when I was getting on that plane, I was like, this is like when my dad would take me to the park, which was one of my really good memories that I do retain from my childhood, because a lot of them are just gone. But he would take me to the park every day. And one time I remember we were sitting there, and I was on the swing set with him, and he set me in his lap, and then he put his arms like this, and we'd go up and down on the swing. And sometimes he could go so high it almost went over, which was probably not the best thing to do with a 3-year-old, but it was really fun. But I remember that motion of going, phew, and feeling perfectly safe, despite the fact that we were going extremely high, and I only had him doing this to keep me from, flying off into oblivion. I was like, this is like that good memory. So I was like, this isn't scary at all. So I land in Denver. I'm like, that was really enjoyable. I love looking down at the little tiny landscape below you at 30,000 feet, and knowing it's minus 54 degrees outside, but it is perfectly warm inside. That's a great feeling. So then I land in Denver. The mountains you really couldn't see because of the location I was at the Denver airport, and also the fact that there was a lot of kind of cloud coverage at the time. So anyway, I'm at the airport. I get ready to get on the plane again to go to San Francisco. And when I'm getting on the plane and going to San Francisco, I listen to Gary Lamb's Love Themes. Now, Gary Lamb's Love Themes, when my mom was in San Francisco when I was 3 years old, she brought home 2 things from her trip. And she really didn't travel a lot during her life, at least as far as I know. She went to San Francisco and Chicago by plane. That was kind of it for her and her travels. And Mexico as a child. But she brought back Love Themes by Gary Lamb because she saw him at a show when she was there. And she also brought back this little bear, which I still have somewhere in those 2 storage units. But anyway, so that's 2 things she brought back to San Francisco. But Gary Lamb's Love Themes played in my house throughout my childhood. And also whenever we went up to vacation in Colorado in Estes Park, that road that you take from like Loveland, Fort Collins area up to Estes, I don't know what it's called. I've been on it a lot in my life because that's where my family would go for vacations. But we would always play Gary Lamb's Love Themes. I remember that was that time of going up the mountains on the curvy roads with piano music. I'm just interesting is to this day, I still love piano music. It's like for example, now that I'm in Taiwan, I'm really hoping to go to a Ray concert while I'm here, and then also to maybe an Eric and Eric and Alex Cho concert, because I really like piano music. It's just kind of, now I don't like traditionally classical piano music too much because a lot of times it sounds dark and foreboding. But I really like the light piano music, especially how in a lot of modern Asian pop music they're mixing piano as a background to these lovely kind of poetic songs, if you will. So I thought it was kind of interesting because I had downloaded Gary Lamb to my phone before my trip because I thought, well, I'm going on a trip again. I should listen to this. So all the way from Denver through Utah to San Francisco, I'm listening to Gary Lamb's Love Themes, going, oh, that's nice. My favorite song on there is actually called, I think, True Love. I don't know why it's called True Love, but it's a very nice song. And honestly, I didn't bring anything that was really extra. And I'm sorry, my hair is a mess. I haven't combed it yet today, but I found my hairbrush. I thought I'd left it. I was like, oh, darn it, Anna. I'm also testing negative on my COVID test. Okay, I'm going to take 4 of those next week. But overall, I don't really feel that I brought anything that was unnecessary. Now, the other thing that I did, because I had a simply fabulous roommate back in the States. I mean, they truly are gems of the earth, okay? I was like, I have no idea how I was lucky enough to get them. But anyway, let's just say that I happened to meet them and another friend for breakfast one day, and they mentioned that they were maybe having a room available. And then, like, literally about 4 days later, I found out I need a place to stay until I came to Taiwan. And so that has been one of the best experiences of my entire life, having that roommate, because they were absolutely phenomenal and they were just absolute sweet humanoids of the earth. So anyway, I could not be more grateful for everything and the entire experience, because I had kind of dreaded having a roommate. Who segue into her living elsewhere. She said, you might like having a roommate. And I was like, that might be true. She said, Sherlock had Watson as a roommate, and that worked out pretty well for them both. And I went, that is true, Bob, but you kind of are my Watson, and I don't think I can find another Watson that would be good at handling the fact that I am not the most normal of humanoids. I mean, I try to be normal. Most people think I'm normal, but if you live with me excessively, you will soon realize that I am far from normal. Um, that's not in a good way. I mean, there are many reasons that I wish I were more normal, like that I wasn't so analytical or bullet pointed when it came to certain things. But anyway, so the roommate experience I kind of put off because I didn't want to have any conflict is an issue that I try to avoid indefinitely. Like, I live my life as much ordered as possible to avoid any kind of conflict. Now, it doesn't, there's another human in your life, there's a possibility that things could go awry, no matter if you're trying to do everything perfectly right and they're trying to do everything perfectly right, there can be problems. But I can honestly say, I had, I lived with my roommate for 3 months. We didn't have one conflict because she is absolutely delightful. I don't think I'm absolutely delightful, but she didn't mind my odd quirks or teaching English at weird hours. And we both worked from home and we didn't have any issues. I think mainly because she's absolutely charming. So anyway, kudos to you if you're listening. But, you know, that has made it so that I would not be nearly so terrified about, not terrified, nearly so cautious about having roommates in my life at some point if I should decide to do that again. So anyway, but my roommate, to get back and circle the wagon, was kind enough to say, Anna, you can leave some boxes here for me to ship to you once you're settled wherever you're going to be settled. I put those in their spare closet and they're going to ship them to me once I'm settled. But those things are like things that I didn't think I could get here once I land that I will need in the next year or so. Now, I also have some boxes in my storage unit that when I go back have things that I also want to bring at some point because I really think once I'm settled and everything has kind of calibrated and I find my zen wherever that may be, I'm probably not going to want to go live back in the States. I really don't think so. And honestly, none of my friends or acquaintances think so, except for one who's like, you kept your things, didn't you? And I'm like, I have a 2 storage unit, so they're like, oh, good. I just want to make sure you have things if you come back. I'm like, oh, I've got a lot of things if I come back. But overall, that having the ability to leave boxes with someone that you trust has been very helpful. The other thing I did before I left, just another little side note here, is I did make sure my will was updated and my storage unit keys and safe deposit box keys were left with a trusted acquaintance so that should something happen to me, which it's not going to, I have that taken care of. I also took out a little more in life insurance than I had before, just so things would be covered should something go wrong. And that's pretty much everything I did. I also have a digital mana box in the States and also over here in Asia, so I can pivot between the two if need be. But those are the things that I kind of looked at before leaving to make sure I had that all in order. So that is the first day so far. Bye!